have a handprint. Apparently, Bigfoot was after a chipmunk. He was finding food. That particular cast were taken at the edge of the watershed.
My name is Danielle, and these are my videos. At first, I'm just like, I cannot believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing right now. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was terrified for my dogs. I've heard so many stories of them and dogs not getting along, so that was where I got.
For centuries, Bigfoot has haunted North America's wilderness. From Michigan to British Columbia, eyewitnesses and researchers have captured chilling Bigfoot encounters. Trail cameras show towering figures. Eerie screams echo through forests. Bigfoot watches, waits, and strikes when least expected. Could it be closer than we think? Alone in the woods with her dogs, Danielle could feel it. Eyes on her. Silent, unblinking, always watching. Each encounter brought the creature she feared closer, the one she believed was Bigfoot. Something strange was caught on camera. Her videos revealed unsettling moments that changed everything. At first, she doubted what she was seeing, until fear set in. Not for herself, but for her dogs. She'd heard what happens when creatures like this cross paths with animals, and she had reason to be afraid.
My name is Danielle, and these are my videos.
There's no way, dude.
At first, I'm just like, I cannot believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing right now. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was terrified for my dogs. I've heard so many stories of them and dogs not getting along, so that was where I got scared.
Danielle's voice trembled. "No, guys, come on, dogs, let's go." We're leaving fog coiled around her legs, swallowing the beam of her flashlight. The dogs froze, growling low. Then she saw it, a towering shape just beyond the mist, still, watching. It didn't run. It didn't hide. It simply stood there, aware and unafraid.
No, guys, dogs, let's go, now. We're leaving.
It thought that the fog was hiding it, that I wasn't seeing it. Even though it heard me and saw me, it didn't seem like it cared.
Soon after, Mark Moran shared footage showing a shadowed figure moving through the trees. Proof Danielle wasn't alone in what she saw. Through rolling fog, a massive shape emerged. Tall, human-like, and perfectly still. Its outline matched countless eyewitness accounts. Broad shoulders, heavy build, deliberate movement.
Bigfoot or Sasquatch that so many people have witnessed. It's a large, heavy form. We see the head, the broad shoulders, and it appears to be quite weighty.
Researcher Ronnie LeBlanc explains that many reports link Bigfoot sightings with dense fog, natural camouflage that helps it move unseen. And in this footage, that theory feels real. The creature's silhouette, towering, powerful, and perfectly outlined through the haze, fits the description too well to ignore.
There's a lot of legends that when the fog comes out, there will be Bigfoot sightings because they're using that fog as cover. And you see this enormous being next to the tree that clearly has the outline and shape of a Sasquatch.
Moments later, the forest grew quiet. Then came a deep, heavy movement through the trees. Danielle froze. Something was shifting the logs along the path ahead. When she turned to leave, she noticed it. The trail blocked by massive branches that hadn't been there before. Something had placed them, deliberately.
I had just been walking through, and I heard a lot of movement.
Are they moving stuff in front of the trail again? Look at that. That's where the tree comes out.
But when I started walking back, that's when I could see these logs moving.
That tree branch was not there like that.
The logs were massive, stacked and crisscrossed across the trail, completely blocking her. A figure stood beyond the branches, still and watching. She didn't see it clearly until she reviewed her footage and realized what had been staring back at her.
These logs are huge, and they're crisscrossing them, blocking the path. It made me nervous because these were big trees and this was a big thing sitting there staring at me, and I didn't really get a good look at him until...
Joanne Mass, investigator and explorer, later released footage showing a dark, human-like figure hidden among the trees. It moved slowly, purposefully, peering through the branches, watching, waiting.
It does look like there is some black figure amongst the trees. Like, it doesn't really want to be seen, but it looks like it's still kind of peeking to see what's going on.
Danielle turned to leave, voice trembling. Okay, I'm leaving. Yet one question remains. How has she encountered this creature so many times without ever leaving her home state? Footage courtesy, Animal Planet. Location, Magician, USA. Could recent evidence from a hidden trail camera suggest the presence of multiple Sasquatch families in Michigan's Upper Peninsula? The BFRO team heads to Michigan to meet a landowner, Craig Salk, who claims one of his trail cameras captured something strange lurking deep in the woods.
Hunting guide named Craig Salk, who owns 80 acres of land up here, puts up trail cameras on his property to monitor the game moving through here. And one of those cameras happened to capture something that Craig can't explain. From what I can tell, it doesn't look like a person in that it all has one uniform tone. So that's either a hunter dressed up to all be one color, or it's a Sasquatch.
Matt examined the photo Craig sent and instantly knew it wasn't ordinary. The image seemed to point towards something big, maybe even proof that more than one family of Sasquatches could be living across Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Cliff Barrickman, a veteran Sasquatch investigator with decades of experience, brought his sharp eye to analyze the mysterious photo. The camera had taken 3 images in under 2 minutes. 2 were empty, but the middle frame revealed a large, upright figure half hidden behind the trees.
The photographs are pretty interesting. A little blob squatchy, but there is clearly something there. Out of the 3 photographs, taken less than 2 minutes apart from one another, in that middle photograph, that large figure is there, but not in the other 2. That means something moved in and moved out of frame in those 3 photographs. The middle photograph is the key. That's the one that might hold the Sasquatch.
It appeared suddenly and vanished just as fast. That single photo stood out, a possible glimpse of something that shouldn't exist. At first glance, the photo seemed unremarkable. A deer stood in the foreground, typical forest life. But behind it, barely visible between the trees, was a dark, towering figure. What looked like a normal wildlife snapshot quickly became something far more mysterious. When the team compared the 3 photos in sequence,
The first thing I thought was, oh, there it is, definitive proof. Deer exist, and so do their butts. But it turns out there was something more interesting in the background. By scrolling through the 3 photographs in sequence, you can clearly see that the middle photograph has something that the other 2 do not. There is a figure there. It is either a human or a Bigfoot, and it's our job to find out which one.
the pattern was undeniable. Only the middle image showed movement. A tall, upright form appeared for a moment, then vanished completely. Whether it was a human or something else was still unknown, but for the team, this was no coincidence. It was a lead worth chasing. When Craig met the BFRO team, he pointed toward the tree where the trail camera was mounted. The camera was facing north, right through this area, he explained, marking the spot where he first noticed the strange movement. That's where it all began. As the field team studied the footage, their attention locked on the middle frame, a humanoid figure standing silently among the trees.
This here's the tree that the camera is on.
And which direction was the camera facing?
It's facing to the north, right through here.
So that's the stump that the deer was smelling?
Yes.
Why was it smelling the stump?
We put minerals out for the deer for, it's better for antler growth, and it's supposed to help the does with their milk production and stuff like that. So we put that out all over the property. We have 10 cameras out usually all year on the 80 acres, and we look at around 20,000 pictures. And in the sequence of the 3 pictures, the middle picture, I just can't explain what is in it. And that's why I was hoping you guys would be able to help me.
It wasn't there before, and it wasn't there after. Whatever it was had moved in and out of sight in seconds. Fast, silent, deliberate. That one frame changed everything. What exactly walked through that shot? And how many more might be watching from the woods? Deep in the forests of West Virginia, a legend quietly roamed. Bigfoot, often linked to the Pacific Northwest, seemed to have found a perfect home here. Witness George Kennedy and investigator Russ Jones set out to uncover the truth behind these strange encounters. George recalled a story from his childhood. His bus driver had shared an encounter that haunted her for life. One morning, while waiting for the children, she heard strange noises coming from the woods. Curious, she stepped off the bus just after sunrise and froze. A huge, hair-covered creature was moving fast along the hillside. In seconds, it leaped onto the roof of the bus. She stood there, terrified, unable to move.
You hear things, but as an adult, when something happens to you, a lot of those things come flooding back that you'd completely written off. When I was a child, there was a bus driver for the McDowell County Schools. Actually, her bus route was in Panther State Forest, which is right across from our property line. Every morning she would stop, park her bus, wait on the kids to walk out. That particular morning, the bus was not there. What had happened was she claimed that as she was waiting, backed into this, it's called George's Fork Hollow, as she was waiting on the kids to come down and get on the bus, she heard something in the woods coming toward her. She got out of the bus just to look. It was right after daylight, and she described something like a big, well, hairy covered monster. It ran off the side of the hill and jumped onto the roof of the bus.
Panicked, she drove straight to the bus garage, convinced the creature was still on top. When she arrived, shaking and in tears, she quit her job immediately, leaving behind years of service and a story no one could forget.
She thought still on her roof. She went up to the bus garage, which was in a little town of Yeager, and quit. She quit her job. Now, how I know this, I was one of those kids walking to that bus. I had completely forgotten about it until later in life when something happened to me and my mother reminded me of it.
Paranormal investigator Lon Hamlin believed that the massive ghost-like figures seen in the area might have been Bigfoot. He explained that local legends spoke of ancient tribes traveling through misty valleys, and that these modern sightings could be echoes of a creature that has survived, unseen, for centuries.
Until you find something that kind of backs that up. Now, I haven't seen any giant ghosts, but it doesn't mean they're not there. We've also had the theory that, these giant ghosts could have simply been Bigfoot sightings seen through fog by, ancient people as they came through the valley.
If no other state on the East Coast would be habitable to something like a Sasquatch, West Virginia would be the place. The habitat is so large for something like that to exist, and the population is so low. West Virginia's state population is still declining. We have people moving every year and leaving the state, and that just opens up more and more real estate for something like a Bigfoot that would want to live at.
Each year, hundreds of reports are logged, most short and unclear. A shadow across the road, strange knocking sounds, or rocks thrown from the dark.
Hundreds of reports later, most of them that you get are, you saw something crossing the road, you got a brief encounter with something, throwing rocks at you or whatever it happens to be. You hear something hit a tree, different things like that could or could not be anything. But a couple times a year, just in the state of West Virginia or Ohio, you will get legitimately an awesome report.
But once in a while, a detailed close encounter emerges, the kind that reignites every investigator's belief that something real might still be out there. George described one such moment. He stood frozen as a massive figure moved slowly through the trees, about 50 yards away, walking in a steady line parallel to him. Its eyes never left his. Then, before fading into the pines, it turned and released a deep, guttural roar that echoed through the forest.
I froze. I watched this thing walk, and it walks all the way, probably about 50 yards from left to right, paralleling me, and it never takes its eyes off of me. Even though it's walking through undergrowth, it never takes its eyes off of me. And it goes up into a pine thicket, and it turns, and it roars at me again. And when it roars, it's kind of a howling roar that I can't explain it. I don't know if you've ever heard a lion, if you've ever been to the zoo and heard a lion roar. It had that kind of depth to it, but it was a lot stronger. And I'm still shocked. I'm just sitting here. It roars again, 3 times.
What was really watching him that day, and how many more still hide in the shadows? Footage courtesy DMAX UK. Location, Berry Hill, Kentucky. Cliff Barrickman, along with his team, organized a town hall at Berry Hill Mansion in Kentucky's capital, hoping to uncover credible Bigfoot encounters. He urged locals to share their experiences, sightings, strange sounds, or tracks. Even the smallest detail, he believed, might lead to the breakthrough they'd been searching for.
If you believe you have had a Bigfoot encounter, whether you have actually seen one or heard one or found prints or something like that, please be kind and raise your hand nice and high.
One man stood up and quietly shared his story. He had been at a friend's house, standing on the back porch late one evening when a strange sound came from beyond the tree line. It was low, unnatural, something that didn't belong. He froze, unable to move. "I don't know what it was," he said, "but it felt like it was meant for me, like a warning he wasn't supposed to ignore."
I had been at my friend's house and we were outside standing on the back porch. On the other side of the tree line, I hear this. And I just froze. I'm like, what the hell is that? The hair is standing up on my arms. I mean, whatever it was spooked me that bad.
The hair on his arms stood on end. Whatever it was out there, it had shaken him to his core. He couldn't explain it, but the fear was real and it ran deep. Then, another witness, a young woman, stood up to share her strange encounter. One evening, she heard a low, unsettling grunt near a pond. When she turned, she saw a large, dark shape moving across the water. Its color blended into the fog, almost disappearing in the mist. For a moment, she froze, then ran back to the house, feeling the silence grow heavier behind her.
It was during the late fall to noise. So I stand up and turn around, and there's this big black brownish mass standing up over across the pond. I take a good long look at it, and I run back to the house.
The only one with a chilling encounter that night. A man recalled his encounter from an August morning in 1974, when he was only 9 years old. The woods already felt strange, dark and heavy, as if something unseen was watching. He had gone out before sunrise chasing his favorite squirrel hunting spot near the old hickory nut tree. But just as he reached halfway through the thick trees, a low, terrifying roar shattered the quiet. It wasn't like any animal he'd ever heard. Frozen with fear, he dropped to the cold ground, shadows creeping around him like something alive, pressing closer with every heartbeat.
We had a visual sighting not much farther than me to you guys. Okay, it was at 2 o'clock in the morning. I came out of my tent to relieve myself. Was standing there and just looked over. I saw something just moving back and forth, looking at me. But what I noticed was the smell. If you took an old dumpster that's in the middle of the summer and threw a dead deer in it, that's what it smelled like.
At that moment, the man shouted repeatedly that he was going to shoot. The creature roared again, echoing through the area. He later explained that this was the moment he fired, believing the shot had struck the kneecap area or somewhere near the feet. The creature stood up, almost 10 feet tall. It started moving, running after the man in big leaps and getting closer every second. If the fence hadn't been there, it might have caught him. To this day, he wonders, was it just a creature or something far more terrifying hiding in those woods? Tina Sams, an experienced outdoors woman and Project Zoo Book member, recounts a chilling encounter deep in Ohio's forests. One night, she and her companions came face to face with something towering and human-like, a figure that would leave her shaken long after. Her story blurs the line between legend and reality in the heart of the wilderness. Just past midnight, the woods were silent except for the soft crackle of the fire. Then Tina noticed something strange, headlights cutting through the trees deep in the dark. She turned to her friend and asked, "Do you want to jump on the cart and see who or what is up there?"
It was 12:30 at night. I was sitting at my fire with a female friend of mine. Maybe 45 minutes before that, I had seen headlights up in the woods. So I was like, "You guys want to jump on the cart? Let's go up in the woods, see if anybody's up there."
They drove through the pitch black woods, stopping the golf cart 3 times. Each pause was tense. The headlights flickered in the distance, then disappeared without a sound. By the 3rd stop, unease gripped them as they whispered in the dark, eyes fixed on the woods to their right.
3 different times, we stopped the golf cart, looked to the right, up in the woods, see if anybody's seen headlights. Did it again, maybe, a couple hundred feet. Stopped the 3rd time, and we were there for a minute, and we were talking, and we were all kind of looking to the right.
Then, a sharp crack to the left shattered the silence. Years of hunting told Tina instantly that something big had moved. She ran toward the sound, her companion close behind, while the teen in the back strained to see through the darkness.
And then I hear a twig snap to my left. I grew up my whole life in the woods, hunting and fishing, and I know if a twig snaps, something had to step on it. So I flipped my head to the left. The girl in the passenger side, which was the adult, turns to the left. I'm blocking her. The 15-year-old young lady on the back turns her head when we all hear the snap.
Out of the darkness, something massive pushed itself upright. It shifted to her left, moving slowly toward the back, each step deliberate and unnerving. Before she could react, the golf cart jolted forward on instinct. The girl in the back screamed, "What's that?" then shouted, "Go! Go!" Even as they sped away, hearts racing.
It was coming off the ground with its hand, stood up into a standing position, and started to walk. He was on my left and started to walk towards back away from us. And my golf cart was moving before I made a conscious thought to move. Like it was just a flight reaction. The little girl on the back yelled, "What's that?" And then she said, "Go, go." Well, we were already going.
But Tina couldn't stay away. She kept returning to the woods, driven by what she'd seen. When asked how big it was, she always said, "About human-sized." Months later, she brought her 6-foot-tall relative to compare. Stopping the cart, she pointed toward the same tree. "Hop off and walk over there," she said. "Let's see how it measures up."
Put it back up in the woods a lot. And people would ask me, including my research partner, size-wise. And I said, human size, human size. So maybe 3 months later, I have a family member with me that I know for sure is over 6 feet. We happen to be in that part of the woods. I said, "Hey, while I have you up here, jump off the cart. I'm going to stop. You jump off the cart."
Out in the woods that night, there was nothing. No firelight, no moon, just pitch darkness. Inside the van, she couldn't even see her own hand. Then it came. The feeling, not the sound, deep, heavy footsteps vibrating through her chest.
So I lay back down. It is pitch black. Like we're not by the fire. There's no lights. I mean, pitch black. Even laying in my van, I could do this and couldn't even see my own hand. I can't hear anything because I'm in my van. So at this moment, and the only reason I say this, the only sense I have is feeling right now, because everything else is null and void because I can't.
Doom, doom, then 3 sharp thuds. Doom, 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 and silence. The sudden stillness was worse than the sound itself, the air thick with dread.
Is that footfall? And then it was rhythmic, so it was doom, doom, and then it went doom, doom, doom. Now mind you, I'm not hearing that, I'm feeling that. 3 quick.
Tina and her friends, still trembling from the scream they'd just heard, struggled to find words. Whatever made that sound wasn't human, and it left them all terrified. Could the unearthly cry they heard belong to the legendary Sasquatch? For most people, Sasquatch is just a story. But for those who venture into the wild, it becomes something much more real. Out there, every sound and shadow tells a story no report ever could. Matt Moneymaker, founder of the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO, and veteran tracker Mr. Green, returned to one of their most compelling encounter sites. Reviewing the footage, Matt called it extraordinary, unlike anything we've ever captured. "This is the spot," he said, pointing to an old stump. A candy bar had been placed there. And later, caught on thermal, snatched away by something unseen in the night.
Matt Moneymaker.
Mr. Green. So we got the footage.
Right.
I love it. I think it's amazing. It's definitely unique. There's nothing else out there like that. And you're saying it was right here?
Here it is. This is the spot, and that is the stump. That stump right there is where the candy bar was when he grabbed it off the thermal.
For nearly 20 years, Mr. Green had searched for signs of Bigfoot until he started camping here. That night, the forest was unnaturally still. The air felt heavy. He was alone. Around 3 a.m., a deep, wet plop broke the silence, something heavy landing close by. Then, again, closer.
He grabbed it off the thermal. I've been into Bigfooting for about 20 years, completely unsuccessful until I started coming down to this very spot. There was nobody else in the campground. Put my tent up, went to sleep. 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up. Down there somewhere, I heard this plopping noise. It sounded like somebody dropping a water balloon on the floor.
Moments later came a slow, rhythmic breathing above his tent, deep and heavy, like Darth Vader. Each breath pressed closer, vibrating through the thin fabric. Then, a sudden thud struck the top of the tent, hard enough to shake it. Instinctively, he hit back. Footsteps scrambled away, fading into the brush. The woods fell silent again, except for his racing heartbeat.
The thing I heard right over the top of my tent was what I call Darth Vader breaths, which was,
I've heard that before.
And then something cupped the top of the tent. And I whacked the side of the tent back, and it ran off. I heard this rustling down here, and I thought, God darn it, he's down there watching.
Trying to stay calm, he slipped into his car and drove to the far end of the empty campground. 2 tense hours passed. When he finally returned, the candy bar was gone, and his fully charged camera was completely drained.
I got in my car and conspicuously drove off. And I drove way to the other end of this campsite. And I just parked there and I waited for 2 hours. And then I came back. Candy bar was gone, and the battery was dead.
When he reviewed the thermal footage, his breath caught. The figure radiated solid heat from head to toe. No cold spots, no gear, no suit. The shape was unmistakable. Towering frame, long arms, and broad shoulders. He was convinced this was a Sasquatch.
I knew what I'd seen, and unequivocally, it was a Squatch. The image does not reflect any cold spots that it would if you were wearing a fat suit or a lot of insulation. Its general shape was...
Later, the BFRO team attempted to recreate the moment. Walk up to the stump, one investigator instructed. Reach for the candy bar, eyes just above the stump. As the footage rolled, their movements matched the original perfectly. "Oh my God," one whispered. "Look at that. Perfect."
Looks like it's coming up toward the stump from right in there. It's making a beeline toward the stump.
You want me to proceed all the way to the stump right now?
Yeah, come up to the stump and reach and grab the Zagnut bar while keeping your eyes just over the top of it. A little more. And come closer.
Oh my God, look at that. Perfect.
As Bobo and his teammate moved cautiously through the trees, something caught his eye. "There's something on that hill," he said, pointing. Partially hidden in the brush stood a dark, human-like shape, tall, solid, and motionless. It wasn't a shadow. It was watching them. Could this finally be the creature so many have claimed to see? Footage courtesy Travel Channel. Location: Forest, USA. What horrors wait in the darkness when a terrifying scream pulls 3 brothers into a nightmare they can't escape? When 3 brothers hear a blood-curdling scream in the forest, they venture out to investigate. Deep in the forest, their curiosity turns to terror as they encounter a massive, Bigfoot-like creature.
Ripped apart.
Let's go check it out.
It was extremely loud and terrifying.
But Herman said we can't go in.
Come on, let's go check it out.
But there really was not much of a group discussion. It was more like we were drawn to what had screamed.
Though the eerie sound unsettled them, the brothers resolved to investigate. Whether it was the rush of adrenaline or the sinking feeling of dread from the haunting noise, they cautiously approached the edge of the forest, hearts pounding as the shadows deepened around them.
We need to go home. Just keep together.
As we're walking, we heard a crack.
Stop.
As they walked deeper into the forest, the trees grew thicker and the light began to fade. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed through the woods. Low, distant, and nothing like they had ever heard before. The brothers froze, their breath catching as a chilling realization crept in. They were not alone. One of them whispered, "Stop."
Look.
We looked up, and about 15 feet up, we saw what, at the time, only thing I could compare it to was something from the Planet of the Apes. It was the hairy man. I mean, that's all we knew what to call it, because I had nothing else to compare it to before. I had never heard of Bigfoot. I've never heard of Sasquatch. It was something that was never introduced to us.
They froze in place, a sudden stillness gripping them in silence. Slowly, their eyes drifted upward, and there, roughly 14 to 15 feet above the forest floor, partially hidden among the branches, something loomed. It wasn't moving. It didn't have to. Tall, broad, and covered in thick, matted hair, the figure seemed almost blended with the shadow. Its presence was wrong, ancient, watching, waiting. The brothers could only describe it as a hairy man.
It was squatted down with its left hand holding onto the tree. It didn't have any emotion on its face. It was just a stone look on its face. It just seemed like it was observing us.
What's it doing?
Shh.
Be still.
We were terrified, and then when we made eye contact with it,
Though the name felt meaningless against the weight of what stood before them, they had no frame of reference, no myths, no warnings. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, these words had never been part of their world, and yet now, staring into the trees, they knew something impossible was real. And it had found them. Its face showed nothing. No anger, no fear, just a cold, empty stare. It didn't blink or move, yet its dark eyes never left them. The creature watched with quiet patience, as if waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Fear took hold of them.
That's when it made a move. It all came crashing down.
Run! It's coming!
So as kids, there's no fight or flight, it's just flight. We were terrified. We had to get out of the situation. It was that day that I realized in order to survive with my older brothers, I needed to be a faster runner.
Their eyes met the creature's, cold, still, and filled with something very old. Then, without warning, it moved slowly, like a nightmare waking up, ready to pull them into darkness. Then a whisper broke the silence, trembling with fear. "It's back!" Outside the window, a massive shadow loomed, black and overwhelming, blotting out the glass like a living nightmare.
What are you looking at? It's back!
It was huge. It took up the whole entire window. A man-shaped silhouette. It would have to be upwards to 8.5 to 9 feet.
A towering, twisted figure, human in shape but monstrous in size. At least 8.5, maybe 9 feet tall, an impossible giant watching from the darkness. Will they escape, or is the creature already too close? Do let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Over the years, Jeff Rohn had his share of strange encounters, most of his Bigfoot sightings happening at night. until his most recent one. This interview was recorded just 5 days after that sighting in Idaho. Jeff remembered it clearly. He and his friend Jim had gone camping in the Bitterroot Mountains, planning to stay 2 nights. But after the first night, the heat was unbearable, so they decided to pack up and head out, taking a long drive before returning to Jim's place in Orofino, Idaho.
My buddy Jim and I are up in the Bitterroot Mountains in Idaho, camping, and we were going to stay 2 nights. And after the first night, we decided it's just too hot. Let's pull up camp and go for a big long drive somewhere and just go back to his place in Orofino, Idaho.
As they drove down a forest road that followed a creek, Jeff joked that he wouldn't be surprised if a Bigfoot family stepped out right in front of them. They both laughed, but only half a mile later, the laughter stopped. Jeff, looking toward the creek, suddenly froze. A massive black figure stood there, broad, towering, and impossible to mistake. Startled, he shouted, "Jim, stop! There's a huge Bigfoot."
We packed up camp and we started heading down the Forest Service road that follows a creek. And I said to Jim, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Bigfoot family standing right in the middle of the road. And we kind of laughed. About a half a mile down the road, I'm looking at the creek, keep my eyes on the creek, and sure enough, there's this huge black figure. I see these huge shoulders like that, and I say, "Jim, stop, there's a huge moose. I mean Bigfoot, back up." And so we backed up a little bit, and he says, "Oh, I see it too."
Jeff stared at the dark shape for what felt like forever, maybe 4 seconds, its shoulders wide and body massive. Jim caught a glimpse for only 2 or 3 seconds, but that was enough. Both men sat frozen in disbelief.
And so I guess at that point, I'd already seen it for about 3 or 4 seconds, and Jim saw it for 2 or 3 seconds, and it had stood up.
Jeff described it as huge, with thick, powerful shoulders and a body that filled the creek bed. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. One moment it stood there, clear as day. The next, it had vanished, leaving only the sound of rushing water behind.
And then 1 second it's there, and in the blink of an eye, it's just not there anymore. I wasn't scared. I wasn't freaking out. No adrenaline kicked in. It just seemed perfectly natural that we were going to see something like that. And so I jumped out of the truck and said, "Jim, I'm going to walk around a little bit." So he pulled forward, stopped, and I took a little video on my iPhone and just to kind of preserve the moment. And then we kind of stood around and talked for a little bit and checked out the spot over and over. And then after about 10 or 15 minutes, I started getting goosebumps and kind of getting excited, like, wow, that was so cool and stuff. And then we're like, well, I guess we'll head on down the road.
He also recalled another memory, one from years earlier. Everyone was inside the tent when a strong skunk-like smell drifted through the air. Something was moving just outside, its steps slow and heavy. Jeff's stepdad peeked out and said, "It's just a skunk." But that uneasy feeling, the sense of being watched, stayed with Jeff for years.
And looking back, I didn't realize it at the time, but my stepdad, we're in a tent, and my stepdad, we all smelled a skunk or something and heard something walking around, and my stepdad, I think he stuck his head out the tent and, "Oh, it's just a skunk." And that always stuck with me.
He remembered another moment sitting in a theater in Woodburn, Oregon, watching the Patterson-Gimlin footage play before a movie. His friends laughed, but Jeff didn't. The way that creature moved, it felt real. From that moment on, he couldn't shake the feeling that Bigfoot truly existed.
And then I was at the Pix Theater in Woodburn, Oregon with some friends of mine. We're going to watch a movie, and that's when they rolled out the Patterson-Gimlin clip. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that's real. And my friends all laughed at me. But it was, from then on, it was on. I don't argue with people or try to convince anybody. I'm not trying to change anyone's religion or, political views or anything, or force my experiences down their throat. I just say seeing is believing, and if you don't believe me, that's fine. But I saw what I saw.
Was what Jeff saw on that screen really real, or just the beginning of something far stranger? Footage courtesy, cabin in the woods, location, British Columbia, Canada. Most Bigfoot videos are shaky blurs lost in the dark, but the Harley Hoffman footage was different. When slowed down frame by frame, it revealed details too real to ignore. Muscles moved naturally beneath thick hair, and each stride looked powerful, balanced, and purposeful. Was this the clearest Bigfoot sighting ever captured?
Let's be honest, most Bigfoot videos are blurry, shaky, and easy to dismiss. But what if I told you that there's one clip, filmed in 2001, that shows visible muscle movement, soft tissue, and even a possible juvenile clinging to the creature's chest? Details that no costume could replicate.
In 2001, a video emerged that seemed to capture something far more convincing. A towering figure striding through the wilderness. Its muscles moved naturally beneath the hair, every step too real to be a costume. Around 20 years ago, a video appeared online, uploaded by a man named Hutch Hoffman. Titled "Real Bigfoot Video Exclusive," it quickly spread across the internet, claiming to show something incredible.
The creature's gait and natural movement through extremely dense and difficult terrain are a strong testament to its natural athleticism and power, traits that would be obviously extremely difficult for a human actor to replicate, especially in a cumbersome costume.
A creature unlike anything seen before. This is the story of Harley Hoffman and the astonishing footage he filmed in 2001, deep within the rugged, forested wilderness of British Columbia's southwest lower mainland. What started as an ordinary day became one of the most debated Bigfoot encounters in history. The footage revealed a towering, upright figure moving with astonishing ease through tangled undergrowth and uneven terrain.
These minute and almost unconscious details lend an authenticity that's difficult for even the most determined skeptic to dismiss, at least if they're being logical and thorough. But size and proportion aren't the only compelling anatomical details here. In certain frames, observers have noted what could possibly be an ear or another anatomical feature.
Its stride was steady and powerful, each motion showing a natural grace that felt far from human. The creature's broad shoulders flexed with each step, moving with a power that felt completely natural to the wild. On closer examination, the footage seemed to reveal unmistakable signs of real anatomy. Defined muscles shifting as the creature moved, rounded shoulders, and a visible tricep area.
Despite strong contrast between the figure and the background that should reveal such flaws if they were there. The compelling nature of the Hoffman footage lies not only in what we can see, but also those details that we can't see. The lack of discernible seams, the fluid gait, the soft tissue, muscle movement that appears quite prominently, and the seemingly undoctored nature of the footage that was captured on a simple handheld video camera back in 2001. All of this points to a real organic subject, not a fabricated suit.
Even a faint outline of the spine and upper back structure could be seen beneath the thick hair. According to experienced Hollywood creature designer Bill Munns, creating lifelike muscle movement remains one of the hardest things to achieve, even with today's most advanced ape suits and special effects. Harley never backed down from his claim. He insisted the footage was genuine and urged skeptics to study it using real science, not just dismiss it out of disbelief. To him, curiosity was key, and doubt without evidence was no different from blind faith.
This bizarre but verified behind-the-scenes story provides a simple but powerful explanation for this video's strange path to the public, and in doing so, it adds to its legitimacy. At least, that's my conclusion.
If Harley was telling the truth, then what exactly did his camera capture that day? And could the same creature still be walking those forests right now? Footage, courtesy, Wild Man of the Woods, location, Pennsylvania, deep in the wild part of Bigfoot country. People have shared stories that sound too strange to be made up. Bigfoot enthusiast Mona Joan had her own reason to believe the creature might be real, and it didn't happen on a trail or during a search. It happened much closer to home. Her young son was about 10 when he had a strange encounter in the woods behind their backyard. He and his friend were playing near the barn when he suddenly noticed something standing at the edge of the trees, watching them quietly.
So him and the neighbor boy had been back behind their barn, back next to their barn, playing and laughing and doing the things kids do. And he said that something was back there just watching them do it. And his story to this day, he is 21 years old. His story has never changed. He still swears that happened. And then he said that he saw another one, a different color one down by the creek, because we live right where there's a small creek too.
Even now, more than 10 years later, he still talks about that day. His story has never changed. He says whatever he saw that afternoon was real, and that he'll never forget the feeling of being watched.
We'll go out into our backyard alone at night. Nor have we ever. And I was out there watching stars one day, and my kids came out and, we don't want you out here. It's just a strange feeling in that whole backyard. I kind of at first was like, oh yeah, right, you know. But I believe him at this point.
Researcher Scott Tompkins explained that Pennsylvania has almost 1,600 Bigfoot reports, even more than Washington State, where Bigfoot stories first began. With its thick forests and deep valleys, it's easy to imagine something hiding there, staying unseen for years.
Perhaps are becoming a little more aware of Bigfoot in that region, and they're paying more attention. I have seen an uptick in reports, so I'm very, like you, curious to why that is. With that said, I think that area is able to host a lot of big mammal wildlife. And now there's more hunting activity, there's more hiking activity, there's more reports being emitted.
Then came Monica Bassett's story. Her brother often heard strange noises in the woods and always blamed bears. But when his dog was found dead, with no sound, no struggle, just gone, he started to wonder if it was something else.
Another time he went out, there was something in the yard, and he went out with the spotlight, and he spotlighted 2 feet. And he didn't go up, he didn't do anything, he just ran back in the house. He didn't know if it was a bear or not. He didn't really look at it that close. You know, I was just glad that my brother could hear that maybe he had some little inkling I wasn't crazy.
Finally, Emily Fleur, a teacher and researcher, shared how the famous Bigfoot film made her question everything. She said even though the footage we see online is old and blurry, you can still notice muscles moving under the hair, the natural way the body shifts, details that don't look like a costume.
When I first saw the film, I thought, there's no way that's a person in a costume, because the version of the film that we see online has been copied over so many times from the original. It's blurry, it's discolored, you can't see many details. But after I started looking into this film and I saw earlier generation copies of it, I started to realize that there's actually a lot of evidence just within the film itself.
The more she studied it, the harder it became to explain it away. If it wasn't fake, then what exactly did that camera capture? And could it still be out there today?
We're stunned. You know, what was that? I wanted to go down that power line cut and look, you know, not chase it, but see if I could see anything down in the creek bed or whatever. And I was told by the people in charge of the expedition, because I was just volunteering to help, like, just stay put. We don't know who or what it was, you know, be safe, all that, which was hard to do.
Footage courtesy, Small Town Monster. Vermont hides a secret. Bigfoot roams its wild green mountains. In Sasquatch Unearthed, Bigfoot of the Northwoods, we track sightings, meet witnesses, and confront the unknown. Let's begin and step into the mystery lurking in Vermont's forests. Near the quiet Vermont-Massachusetts border lies the small town of Pommel, a place steeped in whispers and legend. The investigation team traveled there after reports of a chilling roadside encounter that still sends shivers through locals who remember it.
Massachusetts border in a little town called Pommel. There's a gentleman down there that had a roadside encounter several years ago. We got the call through the BFRO. Dave and I met him.
How does that work with you guys? Like, how do people file a report? Like, if they get in touch with you, are you getting that for the BFRO?
Well, we have 2 avenues. We get people contact us through the BFRO.
Dave and I handle Massachusetts with a couple other people.
It began along Route 7, the winding road cutting through the southern edge of the Green Mountains. On a cold, fog-drenched night, a commercial bus driver making his late run saw something emerge from the mist, tall, broad, and disturbingly human-like. He froze in disbelief, watching as the creature crossed the road with deliberate grace, its sheer size leaving him shaken to his core.
We're on Route 7 here, which is the main route coming through the area. In the southern Vermont, just in the beginning of the Green Mountains, a gentleman was driving a commercial transport bus in the middle of the night between 2 and 3 o'clock, and he witnessed a very tall creature come out of the wood line right here on the east side of the street, cross over to the west side of the street, and then go right up here into the woods.
Just 5 miles south, an elderly couple in their RV spotted a figure sprinting across a field at impossible speed, keeping pace with their vehicle before vanishing into the tree line.
About 5 miles south of here is where an elderly couple were coming up. They were heading up to the Green Mountains in their RV, and they looked out into a field and saw one running at a high rate of speed through the field, paralleling them. And then a school teacher at sunset with her dog up at the base of Mount Greylock, which is where the Appalachian Trail comes through. She was maybe a couple miles south of that, so about 7-8 miles from here. She saw one come out of the tree line and it looked at her.
But perhaps the most haunting account came from the Appalachian Trail, under a sky littered with stars. A schoolteacher and her dog were quietly stargazing when a massive figure appeared, no more than 100 feet away. They locked eyes for several seconds. She gasped, and the creature seemed to do the same. Then, without a sound, it turned and walked briskly into the night. The experience would stay with her forever.
The compelling one is, I think, was a school teacher right along the Appalachian Trail where her and her dog were stargazing, and one walked right out in front of her, at least 100, maybe less than 100 feet in front of her, stood there, and they both gasped at each other. She gasped, the creature gasped, the dog just froze, and then it just walked away at a brisk pace. And she found us on the internet and to tell her story. That's one of my most favorite stories from the Appalachian Trail.
In a nearby town, a hunter's terrifying encounter would spark fear throughout the community. At first, he thought it was a bear, but as the figure stood upright, its towering frame and unnatural movement proved otherwise. He fired in panic, and the creature disappeared into the woods.
Ape-man creature attack from the 1800s. That's one of the famous stories in the Bennington Triangle, and there's plenty of ones in the central part of the state. I actually had an interesting encounter happen to me, which I can't say is Bigfoot, but I'll go into the story real quick. In near an area in the Breadloaf Wilderness of, again, where the Appalachian Trail and the Long Trail are going through, near an area called Texas Falls in the National Forest, where while camping one morning, we'd done some wood knocks and put up some pheromone chips the night before, and in the morning we were woken up by wood knocks.
Soon others began sharing their own encounters, gardens torn apart overnight, eerie cries echoing through the darkness, and figures seen darting through the trees. Could all these encounters point to a creature lurking undetected in Vermont's forests, watching, moving, and waiting just beyond the trees?
And we were out, there's just one particular night, we were out all night, never heard a sound. He did a couple wood knocks, stuff like that, trying to get a response, and we were on this hill above camp. It was pretty high hill. And it was one of those things where nothing went on the whole night. But we come back about 2 in the morning, called it a night.
The visitor at Glacier Pass. Snow swirled thick under the high beams. Emily gripped the steering wheel tighter as her tires crunched over the icy mountain road. She was already an hour past when she should have turned back, but the thought of spending another night at the roadside lodge made her stomach turn. She just wanted to get home. Then the dashboard lights flickered. Once, twice, the engine shuddered and went silent. Emily cursed under her breath, twisting the key, but the car wouldn't start. No signal, no other cars for miles. The wind howled outside. A soft crunching sound broke the silence. Snow being stepped on, slowly, deliberately. She looked up, shapes blurred in the swirling snow. Then something stepped into the light. It was massive, tall enough to bend slightly to peer through her side window. Its fur was thick, matted with frost, its broad, almost human-like face framed by a gray mane, and its eyes, vivid blue, intelligent, almost sad, locked onto hers. For a long moment, neither moved. Her breath fogged the glass. The creature tilted its head, curious, then pressed one enormous hand against the window. The glass fogged beneath its palm. Emily couldn't scream, couldn't move. She whispered, almost involuntarily, "Are you real?" The creature blinked once, then stepped back into the swirling snow and vanished. 20 minutes later, her hands finally steadied the wheel. The engine roared to life on the first try. At the ranger station, she stayed silent. They'd think she was crazy. Until one ranger noticed the car window, a single enormous handprint, warm and unmistakable, still faintly visible in the frost. But Emily couldn't shake the question. Was it truly gone, or just watching from the shadows? Footage courtesy Animal Planet. The team returns to Louisiana, reuniting with researcher Lyle Blackburn at one of the South's eeriest places, Caddo Lake. Wrapped in fog and ancient cypress trees, this haunting swamp straddling the Texas-Louisiana border has long been known as both a Bigfoot hotspot and a horror film backdrop. At a crowded town hall, the team meets several witnesses, including one man whose chilling story of a female Bigfoot leaves everyone silent. With the dark woods surrounding them, Bobo asks the man to relive every detail of that day, each sound, each movement. The witness describes spotting a massive figure near a pipeline marker on a gray, silent morning. When he raised his gun scope, the creature turned and vanished into the mist. Later,
Tell me a little about your story at town hall. Now that we're here, I want to go through the whole thing with you and see if I get some more details.
Okay. Then I just decided to hunt that morning. And then all of a sudden, I just kind of appeared right there by the pipeline marker. I went to try to pick my gun up to look at it through the scope. I mean, he just whirled and went back in the woods and was gone.
Bobo asks about the footprint he found, around 14 to 16 inches long, far larger than any human track. Standing by the marker, Bobo asks where the creature's head reached. The witness stops him at 8 feet, comparing its chest to a broad, powerful build. The height estimate made sense. The pipeline marker stood exactly 4 feet tall, giving the hunter a clear reference.
All right, I'm here. Is this it?
That's pretty good.
Okay, I'm gonna raise my hand, and you tell me when to stop when it's the right height for the creature's head.
That's about the right height.
Yeah, that's an 8-footer. How thick was it through the chest compared to me, like this profile shot?
About half again as thick as you.
So you're saying it was this tall? I mean, that's 8 foot.
Having spent years judging distances, he was certain of what he saw, a towering, hair-covered creature walking on 2 legs. Bobo decided to walk down to the spot near the pipeline marker to get a better sense of the creature's size. Standing beside it, he called out to the witness, asking if this was the exact location. When the man confirmed, Bobo raised his hand slowly, asking him to say stop when it reached the height of the creature's head. The witness stopped him at about 8 feet. Bobo then turned sideways and asked how the creature's chest compared to his own build, trying to visualize its massive profile. The accuracy of the witness's size estimate came from the fact that the creature had been standing beside a fixed point.
What makes his size estimate so accurate was it was standing next to a fixed point, a pipeline right-of-way marker that's 4 foot tall. So he knew pretty much how big it was just from that. Hunters are good at judging distance and size. He thought I was 7.5, 8 foot. It turned out I was right around 8 foot. His opinion of what he saw that day didn't change seeing me up there. It just kind of reinforced it. So you have no doubt about what you saw that day is one of these undiscovered, large, hair-covered, 2-legged critters running around this part of the country.
A pipeline right-of-way marker exactly 4 feet tall. This gave him a solid reference for judging its height. Being a hunter, he was used to estimating size and distance with precision. When Bobo later stood in the same spot, the witness guessed he was about 7 to 8 feet tall, which turned out to be almost exact. Seeing Bobo there only confirmed what he already believed. The witness had no doubt about what he saw that day. one of the large, hair-covered, two-legged creatures said to roam the region. Then came another chilling report from local farmer Faye Allen. During harvest season, she spotted something large bending near her cornfield. At first, she assumed it was a bear, until it stood up. Roughly 60 to 70 feet away, the creature was tall and slender, covered head to toe in black hair.
Back in 2008, she said while visiting the property, she observed a Sasquatch about 60 feet away, rummaging through a pecan bag.
So are these big things here pecan trees?
Yes.
Tell us what happened when you went to go harvest.
Well, we was harvesting pecans, and so I was coming through with a tractor, and I know something was by the pecan sack, and it was bent over. Then he stood up. I didn't know what to think.
It turned, met her gaze, and calmly walked away. Faye Allen recalled that the figure stood about 60 to 70 feet away. It was tall and slender, completely covered in solid black hair from head to toe. Though she could make out the shape of its face, the details were hard to distinguish at that distance. As she stood there, frozen, the creature turned its head, looked directly at her, and then calmly walked away.
What is going through your mind?
When I saw him, I was thinking, this is not real.
But you feel pretty confident this was the distance from the figure? All right, I'm gonna walk over to that tree.
Okay.
Try to recreate what you saw.
Okay.
Faye's pretty sure that she saw a Sasquatch that day, so I'm gonna head over to where the alleged creature was standing and try to get an idea of how big it was. Who knows, maybe we can rule out a person.
In that moment, disbelief washed over her. It couldn't be real, she thought. After reviewing her account, the investigator compared it to hundreds of other Bigfoot reports and found it to be almost identical.
So much about this encounter makes perfect sense to me. These creatures know that's the sound of the harvesting of these things, so they don't have to go gather these things. You're gathering them for them. So they came up and ate right out of the bag. You crawl up on this thing, it turns and checks you out and just quietly walks away like hundreds and hundreds of other Bigfoot reports. This is spot on. You saw a Sasquatch. I'd bet my life on it.
I would too.
He was certain of what Faye Allen had seen. You saw a Sasquatch, he told her with confidence. I'd bet my life on it. Faye didn't hesitate before replying softly, I would too.
When you first see the figure, it's bent over the pecan bag.
Yes.
How long did the whole thing take? A few seconds or like 20 seconds or what do you think?
It wasn't very long at all, probably 20 seconds.
20, well, that's a long time actually.
Okay, so you're estimating that that pecan bag, the top of it was at about this height, about
Yes.
3 or 4 feet? So where would the top of the figure's head be?
Maybe just a little bit taller. So that's probably it right there then.
I definitely believe that Faye saw something that day, but I can't rule out that that wasn't somebody trying to pull a hoax on her. I mean, she said it was tall and lean.
If both witnesses are truly certain of what they saw, could this finally be the proof skeptics have long demanded? Or is the legend of Bigfoot destined to remain forever just beyond our reach, lurking in the shadows of the wilderness? As the forests fall silent once more, the evidence remains. Footprints in the mud, whispers in the dark, and stories too unsettling to dismiss. From Washington to Vermont, Bigfoot moves unseen, watching from the shadows, leaving only fear and fascination behind.
Thanks for meeting us, Ben. And this supposed to be the famous trailer, huh? Yes, sir. I see it.
Well, tell us about what happened that night.
One night, I heard a snow was outside. And when I got up close to it, it was shaking the trailer. She turned around, that's when I realized it was a female. Kind of had breasts on it. She just kind of throwed her head up, she turned.
Each encounter reminds us the legend is far from over. So, are we truly alone in these woods? Or is something massive and intelligent still out there, just beyond the light? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more encounters that blur the line between myth and reality. Something's still out there, watching from the shadows. These encounters keep surfacing, new sounds, new sightings, new evidence that refuses to fade away. Could it be that we're sharing this world with something we still don't fully understand? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe Bigfoot is real, or just another mystery waiting to be solved?